Hello, hello, and welcome. Welcome, one, welcome all. And we're here. So, we're going to talk about the Jamaica trials. So, we're going to give you a roundup of the men's and women's 100 meters. All right. And also to share, that the world record won't surprise Kishane. So, those are some of the things that will be discussed or shared in this live conversation. So, on this note, I would like to welcome Ovi. Hello, Ovi. Welcome.
Hello, I'm here. Thank you for having me. And it's been a good second day of the Jamaica trials, and the 100 meters took center stage. So we're gonna have a bit of roundup of what happened in that regard. So where do we start? All right. So we saw the athletes coming forward. Kishane Thompson did well. Seville did well, and Ackeem Blake also did well on the men's side. And we saw the veteran Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce, Tina Clayton, and also Shericka Jackson coming to the fore as well. So those are the athletes that we're going to be talking about, and just a little bit of happenings as it relates to the 100 meters. Lots of drama surrounded it, and lots of statements coming forward in terms of athletes representing themselves and hearing about how they are doing in terms of their progress as it relates to the World Championship coming up. So we're going to cover a bit of that as we go on.
All right, fantastic. So, on that note, let us just go straight to the women's 100 meters final. So, let's see if we can get the results here on screen for you. And there we have. So, it's like seeing some things happening and you're happy, but at the same time a bit disappointed. So that was pretty much, I guess, the happening at the National Stadium for day two. So as you can see on screen, Tina Clayton won in 1081. Next, Shericka Jackson, 1088. Shelly was in the number three spot, 1091. Jodine Williams, 1102. Janelle Smith, 1106. Alana Reed, 1113. Ashanti, 1119. And unfortunately, Tia Clayton did not finish. And so we're going to talk about that, but we want to say congratulations to Tina and the other ladies who will be representing Jamaica at the World Championships in Tokyo. And for everyone who made it to the final, and for all and to all the ladies, who showed up at some point to the line, we want to say, you did yourselves very well. But sometimes we have expectations and they don't necessarily work out. And I heard earlier from Tina, and of you were listening in too, where she shared, that she was looking forward to the opportunity to be competing alongside her sister Tia. And unfortunately, that didn't happen. And she mentioned something that Ovi always say to me, track and field can be a very ungrateful sport. But she was very thankful to God, despite the disappointment. And that was, very good. Her performance was very good. But at this point, Tia Clayton, unfortunately, she pulled up, right, in the race, like mid race, somewhere there, and she was not able to complete this race. So, Avi, I'm just going to come over to you to get a sense of, what are your views in the context of that race, the final for the women? and just to get a sense of what you saw while this race was happening. So over to you.
All right, so the 100 meters for the women was really interesting because we had good performances coming into the final, and based on what we were covering, we realized that we would have a stiff competition for the three spots. So the women, we were thinking that the Clayton sisters, Shericka Jackson, and Shelly-Ann Fraser, we're earmarking those four ladies to go through in terms of getting the three spots. So we know one person would miss out somewhere or another, but led to real excitement and nerves, I guess, as it relates to this one. But it was great to see that the top three women in this race, Tina, Shericka, and Shelly, all around sub 11 times. Shelly going below the sub 11 mark for the first time in the season. So that was good to see. But, the unfortunate thing was that at about 50, 60 meters down the line with Tina, Shericka, and Shelly along with Tia pulling away from the rest of the field, Tia suffered an injury, I'm guessing, and was unable to finish. So that left us with Tina winning that one, an impressive run by her, as well as stating her dominance in the event. Shericka Jackson looked really good as well, and as I said, Shelly and Fraser-Pryce coming below the sub 11 for the first time. So that's good to see. But, the Jamaicans well represented, but we didn't get to see the full race in the sense that I really wanted to see those four ladies battling it out to see exactly who would be the top three from Jamaica. But unfortunately, the injury happened to Tia Clayton. But I must say, well done to the other ladies too who participated in the final. They made it through to the final. Jadine, Janelle, Alan, and Ashanti.
All right, so fantastic there. Thanks for sharing. And if you're here, please remember to hit the like button, the share button, and of course, the subscription button. Turn on your post notification bell so that you do not miss any updates from this channel. If you're here in the chat, let us know. All right, comment in the chat and let us know where you're tuned in from. All right, would love to give you a big Voices in Education shout out as well. So there was while we were on the live earlier, all right, we got an update, and I was just trying to check that when you came back to me that wildcard entries from the Diamond League final. All right, so but I know I'm not sure if they're going to take it from the 2024, perhaps not, because we have a Diamond League final before World Championship, so that is a possibility. So if that were to be a possibility of it in this context now, where Tia could possibly get that wild card entry to get into the World Championships. I am just wondering. I don't know because Alfred is out there, all right, as well, and I'm not sure if Melissa Jefferson is going to join in, given that Grand Slam is out. Like we don't have any more slams, and so I'm just thinking about that possibility where Tia is concerned. But it's going to be competitive if Alfred is there, right? So I'm not too sure, but if that's a possibility of it, what's your take on that? Do you think that she will get there? If that possibility becomes a reality. That's the question. Hopefully you got that. So over to you.
Okay, so that's really interesting. If the wild card is available, I am well, I'm almost 100% sure that if she is fit and ready, she'll definitely go for it. Lots of motivation, I would say, for Tia to get there. You know, she has worked hard throughout the year, and to not be able to finish that 100 meters in the trial at the final, I'm sure she's really disappointed, and she is going to be motivated to get in once there's a chance. So once there's a chance, I can see her going on the circuit and heading trying to get into the world championship as a wild card. And knowing that her sister is there, someone who, they share a lot together in terms of their sisters, and they motivate each other and they compete against each other as well, pushing each other along. I'm sure that she would go for that opportunity. Yes, there will be competition out there, but you have to put yourself up against the competition to be the best. So I think if that's the case, I think she would go for it once she is healthy and once she get the backing from her club. So that's what I think as it relates to that. But that would be really nice if she could have that opportunity, considering that she missed out based on injury.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one for sure. And I'm not sure if you can check the chat. I am not able to access. I'm not really seeing anything there from my end. But just in case I am missing out. But if you're here, welcome one, welcome all. And if you're new to this space, welcome to the Voices in Education. Voices in Education is a safe space where we share and learn from each other. We do that in a respectful way to ensure that we're not, bashing or disrespecting anyone. And we also understand that we share different views, and that is totally okay because there is so much richness in diversity. We just ask you to keep it real and respectful. All right, so I believe that perhaps this is a roundup for the 100 meters final. I don't know, was there any surprises for you, Ovi, in this context? Just a quick question. I don't know, but were there any surprises for you?
Well, the surprise would be the injury to Tia, to be honest, because I was just looking forward, unsure to determine who will be the three persons going forward for Jamaica. So that's where I didn't know how to choose the three based on the performances going in. So that would be the thing that would be the major surprise that Tia wasn't able to complete the 100 meters. So that would be it. No major surprises apart from that.
Okay, so yeah, totally agree there. And so, guys, what happens now, based on my understanding, the top six, all right, should be moving forward for support with the relay team as well. So, based on what we have here, if we're working with numbers 1 to 4, it means that Jodine Williams should be running one of those final leg in the relay. But we know otherwise that, we have Tia, who would definitely be faster than Jodine Williams. So that also comes into the conversation, what will happen in that context. We also know too that and we see that from the time that she posted that she clocked in the semis, right? So that is there. Earlier, we were talking about the possibility, and I'm just going to say it here, and perhaps I was just pushing that possibility. It's a well, not a possibility, but an assumption that perhaps Shericka Jackson won't do the double at the World Championships in Tokyo, and that may give way for somebody else to come in. And this is nothing that is substantiated, it's just our or my assumption. All right, because I believe that Shericka is perhaps going to focus more on the 200, right? But she has a buy for the 200 because she is the reigning world champion, right? And so it could be that's the reason why she is just doubling now, and because she was last year's winner, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, so so I just have that feeling that Shericka is not going to double. And I just feel like Tia is going to come back some way, somehow. I don't know. I could be wrong, but that's just a feeling. You know, when you say, I got a feeling. Yeah, that's it. That's just it. So, all in all, it was a very good competition. I am so happy, but for Tia, of course, because no one was expecting that, and that was definitely unfortunate. And we just wish her the best, and hope that she will get well soon. But I noticed and I shared too that she was wearing a tape. So when it came to the final, I was saying, I hope everything is okay with Tia. And then, unfortunately, she was not able to finish. So, on that note, we're going to shift to the men's 100 meters. All right, so let's just go. But, guys, when we talk about drama, but at least in on the men's side, it was somewhat better but also somewhat disappointing. I guess I'll start out, and then Ovi, you can also come in here. And I have a little clip that I want to play as well from Kishane. All right. So we saw the semis, and the athletes, they did well. Kishane looked pretty well. Oblique looked well. And I said, at that point that Oblique looked even more relaxed than a Kishane. That's what I observed from my vantage point. All right, so we were there on live and just waiting for the 100. And then some dramatic things. Well, I don't know if dramatic is the right word now, but we started to see oblique in pain. So what had happened is that I saw, I believe, a hand went up. And I was like, what's going on? And then I recognized that it was oblique. So apparently was feeling some cramps or pains, perhaps hamstring injury. So that delayed the start to the men's 100-meter final, right? And he was crying, like he was crying, and I could understand because at that point I was just simply saying that perhaps he's saying, oh my gosh, this thing is happening to me over and over again. Why me? Why no? What's going on? And but at some point he looks like, should I leave? Should I stay? And somewhat indecisive, but he held it together and decided that he was going to try, and he got some medical attention at trackside. Then he started to stretch, and I don't know what they did, but he eventually showed up to the line. He eventually showed up to the line. When the race started, I was worried because he was very tentative. It was almost as if he was like, I am not too sure if I'll be able to complete this race. So to me, he was a bit slow in the first few meters, perhaps the first 40, 50, somewhere there-ish, right? And then I just saw him just flying like that, right into the number 2 spot there, as you can see on screen. So Kishane 975 oblique was there in the number 2 spot, 983, followed by Ackeem 988, then Raheem 998, Rohan 1004, Kadrian 1007, In crewmate 1009, Brian level 1043. So Brian level, we were getting some, but we're not too sure because so much was happening as if we pulled up or something happened, but we were also expecting him to do very well, right? Expecting him to be perhaps at least in the number three spot because but no not discrediting Ackeem, but based on what we're seeing from level or at least the number four spot. So we hope that he's okay for the 200 meters because we think that he would do very well. So at this point I am not too sure what is going on with Brian level, but that's pretty much that for now from my standpoint. So before we go to Kishane's clip and to talk about the world record that he mentioned, I'm just going to come over to you, Ovi, just to get your roundup of how things unfolded from your end in the context of the men's 100 meters. Over to you.
All right, thanks. And well, the 100 meters for men was really interesting. The build coming into the race was really, really strong. Shane ran a good semi-final, dismissed the field, shut it down from about 80. Oblique did the same as well. He came in and shut it down from about 80 as well. And all right, so we're seeing mindset there. Welcome. Thank you for sticking and staying with the channel. We really appreciate you, and you are always here with us, and that's always good. We are always happy to have you here. So just jumping back in, I was saying Kishane and Seville, they both shut down from early in their semifinal. Brian Lavelle did really well in his semifinal as well. So we were looking at these three athletes to be the top three in the final, but things didn't work out in that particular way. But I tell you, the final was as was shared by my co-host there was really dramatic at the start with Oblique. But he thought about. I could look when I saw him. He thought about heading off the track a few times, and he said like he was unsure of how he was doing with whatever he was dealing with physically. But it was just on the balance. Should I go? Should I risk being injured? Should I stay? And should I just call it a day or should I push myself? If I make it, I'll have time to recover. So you could see some indecision in him, and he was very emotional, talking to himself, crying and lot. But over after all of that, he definitely decided that I'm going to give this a shot, and that was what happened there. And as was described, he started a little bit tentative, and you could see him holding back himself. But when he got to about 50, around 50 meters around there, he was like, the leg, the hamstring, I'm not sure exactly what he was feeling. He was saying to myself, well, if I made it this far, then, maybe it's not as bad as I thought. And he put on the afterburners there and was able to get into that second spot. And I just knew he was running to get there to do that 100 meters in the world champs. I'm sure he would have settled with third place, but I think if you talk to him now, he would definitely tell you that I surprised myself and came in second. But a brilliant run from Oblique under the circumstances. And just to pay keen attention to Ackeem as well. Ackeem did really well coming through the rounds, and with Jamaica having four athletes in the final going below sub 10, that is awesome. So we had four athletes going below sub 10. We must make John Ryan Ford as well, and that was great. But hopefully, as we said, Level will recover to take up his 200 meters duty. I'm going to come back over to you, my co-host.
All right, fantastic. On that note, mindset. We want to drink tea with you, all right? All right, so we're both here. All right, thanks for being here. Just a quick roundup. So, yeah, and then I just recognize that I have the audio on this device, so I'll just switch in a little bit, but we're going to just play Kishane's clip in a little bit for you guys. So it's not a long conversation. We're just, giving you a roundup of what happened. But all in all, good. And as you mentioned here, the top four, under 10 seconds. So that's good. And hopefully Jamaica will get to get that team for the relays. So obviously Oblique is not going to be running in that because he's going to be focusing on, getting better, feeling better for the World Championships, I suppose. But, we have Ackeem Blake, hopefully they're available. Kishane, was there for it twice. It just didn't work out with the baton going around, and we just hope that things work out so that they can get a spot there in Tokyo. But yes, so that's pretty much it, guys, in the context of the men's 100 meters. But after the race, Kishane did an interview and he shared that, the world record won't surprise him. So if he gets the world record, that will not surprise him. So that speaks to the shape or the form that he's in. And that is significant because it means that he's doing a lot, or they're seeing some times in training that is pretty much he's just ready to unleash. And he stated that he's hungry and he's ready, and it's more action than talking. So action, not a bag of mouth. So he's pretty much sharing that he rather to leave everything out there on the track, and so that is significant. And we want to wish all the athletes the very best, and we'll be here later on for sure for, all the excitement and hopefully no drama. So, Avi, are we okay to just go to the video? All right, not the video, the clip. So, guys, I'll be going to the clip, so just give me a moment. So, Avi, I'll just come over to you while I get this ready.
Yes, no problem. Let me just acknowledge mindset. Yes, I'm wide awake. So thank you for, being here as usual. But yeah, we have lots of confidence coming through from the athletes, and that's what we wanted. To be honest, it has been a long time since we've been so excited about male sprinting in Jamaica. So that was really, really a good feel once again. And Usain was there in the stadium, and I'm sure he was proud to see what was happening there. But again, we just did not get the 100% with Level not being able to perform at his best in the final. So for both finals, we didn't get the best from the field. So that was the only disappointing thing. But taking that out, great performances from both males and females. And we are really excited to see what they will do in the World Championship. But it's been we have a bit of time to go to the World Championship too, and you know what will happen? We the athletes will have more time to put in their work. The coaches will set up their programs to get them to peak again at the time for the World Champs. So hopefully we'll see the times continuing to go south, and we'll get more excited. So let's see how that will pan out. But I love the fact too. Let me just mention this as it relates to Kishane. Yeah, I really I like the fact that he's correcting his mistake. So he's running through more. I think that in the Olympics he he didn't run right through, I would say, and I'm seeing where he has made the adjustments, and that's good to see. We want the athletes to be learning so that they can, develop their craft and make the most of the opportunities that present themselves. So that's pretty much what's happening here. Let me go back into the chat as mindset is, yes, the mindset is it's like such a great feeling seeing what the men are producing at the moment. Yeah, for sure. I really agree with that wholeheartedly. And it's always good to have a good Jamaican men's team out there. I think the US and all the other countries look forward to the competition too. You want to know when you go out there and you win, you're beating the best. You don't want persons to be saying, "Oh, if this team were there, or that person was there." And I think that's how the athletes feel as well. So that's what we have here, but really good performances coming through as it relates to those two, the finals of the 100 meters. So thank you guys for sticking and staying here with us. If you are here, make sure that you hit that thumbs up button and subscribe if you haven't joined us on this platform as yet.
All right, fantastic. So I'm just going to go to the clip here so we can hear from Kishane. So mindset, let me know if you're hearing in the chat. All right, so let's do this.
Never gonna surprise myself.
All right.
I know. Okay, to be honest to myself, I don't think I'm ever gonna surprise myself. I know how capable I am. For me, it's just to understand my speed a bit more and trust it. Get the execution down to the dotted I and the cross of the T. Yeah, I'm that confident. I don't think if I even broke the rail card, it will surprise me, honestly. I'm gonna just put that out there. I mean, I'm not just working to not accomplish things. I work because I want to win. I want to achieve certain goals, all the accolades. So yeah, that's just me. Yeah, pretty much that's it. I'm a very hungry person. I'm not really a media person, or I don't really say much, but I let my actions on the track do the talk.
All right, so there you have it. And I'm just going to come over to you, Ovi. The action should do the talking on the track. And again, some important things that he shared. Also, just to add to that, he was asked about, running through to the line. And he pretty much said, listen, if you're good, you don't need to dip at the line. Because it means that you would have already have the race won. But he's working on a lot of things in terms of his race and the different phases of his race. So he's ready to execute, and that's what, because he was sharing that this wasn't a good race, and so imagine it's 9:75, we're leading time, and he said he did not execute well. So over to you, Ovi.
All right, I'll definitely try to execute well on this side. But he 975 world leading performance and he didn't execute well. That says a lot about his expectation and what he has for himself. But what I like about him, he set the bar really high for himself. And I'm going to mention a few things as it relates to him and based on what he said and a little bit more too. So, he said that he's hungry. He is hungry. And, he, we, I guess You feed him races and he'll churn out performances. That's what he said. Just give me the races and I'll churn out performances. And that's really good. So I like that. And he said, I want all the accolades, all the accolades. So in essence, I think his greatest goal is to run that 100 meters world champs or at the Olympic Games. And not only that, he's going for the world record. So when he said all the accolades, Kishane has the world record on his list of achievements. So we have to look out for this hungry man who has those accolades and those expectations of himself. And he's pretty much saying that, what? The expectations from myself, it is limitless. And, you know, it's good to see a Kishane out there on the track. Kishane is really tall, strongly built, and I tell you, when he is going down that track, it is a sight to behold. So, you know what I want to say about him? I am happy that he's able to keep healthy. He wasn't able to do the rounds. Now he's looking healthy. And if I were his competitor in any way or form, he would give me a little bit of fear. One, because of his stature, and because of how he's performing, and I guess because of his hunger, because he is going and he's going one way in order to win. And I must also, acknowledge his track club. I'm going to highlight his track club because of the management of him. They managed him really, really well to get him to this stage where he's performing this well. And, hats must go off to that, to them. Many athletes probably are out there who are really good, but they were mismanaged and they're not able to execute. So timing is good, and the club did really well with him. And, he's doing really well for himself. He's fulfilling the performances, and that's always good to see. Coming back over to you, my co-host.
Well, some great points there, Ovi. And I am going to ask you a question, and I want you to execute very well on this one. So make sure that you're going through the different phases very well and get to that finish line with a response. So, do you believe that Kishane can go lower than 958? So that's the question. So I am coming over to you and I want you to execute from start to finish with that one. So, and he says he rather to let it out all on the track as opposed to talking, but he did some talking. So I want to hear from you. How do we balance this talking with the running that is to come? All right. And I'm not saying yet, that is to come because he's pretty much sounding the big things them. So, Ovi, take me through the different phases. All right. And the technicalities of the race. Just take me through it and just be smooth. All right. As you go off to the final, to the line. 958, lower than that. Come, talk to me right now. Talk to me nice. Talk to me. Talk to
Well, you see, he has it on his list to achieve 9.57. So let's put it that way. So if he takes a shade off it, that would be amazing. But for him to be speaking that confident about his performances, to come in the 100 meters. It means that he's in a good place mentally. He is in a good place physically, and he is probably recording times close to that time. So for somebody to be that bold, 9.58 is not a walk in the park. And for him to set his eyes out there and come out and say that, I'm going for that, it means that he's seen that his progress is heading in that direction. And I tell you, he is strongly built, and I know based on what I've seen, he's not running full out. He's not running flat out yet. So at 975, not running flat out, being early in the season, I could see I could argue for him that he has the potential to get real close to match or to even better that world record. That's what records are there for. It's there etched already. You said etched his name there and persons are going to, all the other athletes are going to aim to go better so that their name can be there. But, I love the confidence that he has. I love the way how he expressed himself to cover for the Olympic final as well. He's saying that if you're better than your opponents, if you've dismissed your opponents, why are you ducking at the line? So that's the confidence that he has. But I don't doubt him. For somebody to be so bold, he's seen times in training. I don't see him in training. I just see him on few races. But as I said, he's healthy. He looks strong. He's executing well. He said he's not executing well. That's another thing too. So if all the things align, then he could give it a good shot. Let me put it that way. So a good start, a good race according to him, and with the hunger and motivation to reach all the accolades in the sport, I think he has all the ingredients to get that record.
Well, that was a record response for sure. Well executed. Thank you so much, Ovian. You shared some very great points. And, one thing too that you mentioned was, his team for managing his injuries pretty well. Because remember when some person saw Kishane, he just came and ran one race, a big time at that point, and then he just disappeared. And I remember we did some real good research. I think perhaps one of the first, to do that, because when people were trying to figure out who Kishane was, we already, found him and shared with our platform. And so Cuban, Garvey Maceo, Clarendon, but I'm just going to ask you another question. Is it a Thompson thing? Elaine Thompson, fastest woman alive, and Kishane Thompson, I guess, trying to get there based on what he's sharing. So, is it Thompson things? So coming over to, and I don't know if there are any connections between the Thompsons. I don't know, but just asking my friend Ovi if it's a Thompson thing just before we wrap this one up. So over to you, Ovi.
Well, it with the likes of Kishane and what's the other Thompson name? The female Elaine, yes, let's get that one. Elaine Thompson. Well, we could argue that yes, it could be, but we have other names as well. But I just think the names just fall in there, by chance. I think it's a lot of work that these athletes have put in. Elaine has worked hard. I'm sure Kishane has worked hard. They have had their injury problems, and what happened is that when they go out there, they go and give their best. And sometimes, these athletes they're performing with injuries as well. They go out and still go and give their best. Sometimes we as supporters, fans, don't remember that they are humans. We just see them as, going out there, they're athletes, they go out and run. They could be having a bad day, having injury challenges and so on. So we need to cut them some slack sometimes. But as you said, having the name Thompson is becoming synonymous with good performances. So, if you deem it that way, I'll support you 100%. But I know the athletes are working hard regardless of their surname.
All right, fantastic on that one. And Mindset is sharing there in the chat that Kishane is humble, and also the fact that Kishane has the capacity, he believes, to get to 9.5s, based on his raw speed and he's powerful. And so once he's getting past the injury, it means trouble dead there. Trouble dead. And we like that kind of trouble. All right. So, and you mentioned some good things, in the context of Kishane where he's ready. And I feel that, that mistake that he made, you know, in we could call it that. in the Olympic Games. I don't think we'll ever see that again because he's pretty much saying too, Ovi, that he's not going to wait to dip at any line with any athlete. He's going to dismiss the field and just take the race. So it should never. I think that's what the lesson is trying to convey to us, based on what he learned, from that, race. He's never going to leave it back to dipping across the line. Like he's going to ensure that he takes control of the race, so when I win, it should be by some meters, not by dipping across any line. I think that is something that he's trying to convey in a very, humble way to say, listen, I am not going to allow you to just stretch your neck or your torso to get there before me. I am not, Kishane Thompson, will not allow that to happen. But we saw some of that in the Diamond League, so I hope the action speaks. But sometimes because they do it, it becomes a part of them. So you just have to be careful. But I get that from what he's saying. Like he's going to take control of the race and is not going to allow any athlete to come and pass him on the line. He's going to ensure that he dismisses the field. So you're not in any league. You're not in my league. You know that song there? You're not in my league. That's what he's trying to convey, but in a very humble way, as mindset shared in the chat there. He's very humble. And I appreciate that. Something was popping in my head and it kinda slipped me, but yeah, so is not, oh yes, the fact that even with this race, I recognize that he's doing better even though he's relaxing and slowing down, he's still, doing a bit better in terms of crossing that line. So Ovi, do you have any final comments? I'm just going to come over to you.
Yes, I'm going to piggyback on what you're saying there and Kishane's statement there of, I think what he was really saying too, just to add to what you have said, with that Olympic finish there, many controversies were, it was very controversial in certain regards. Persons were saying that, Kishane won, Lyles won. We had arguments on both sides. So I pretty much think he's saying that here what, you know, I'm going to dismiss the field. I'm thinking he's looking and saying, I want to be the fastest, and who would be the best person to emulate but Usain Bolt? Usain Bolt had no such troubles, no such, dilemma as it comes on to the finish. He dismissed the field, and I think that's where he's headed. But, in closing, I really appreciate all of you persons who are here. Mindset, you kept the chat buzzing and burning there. Thank you for being here with us as always. And for all the silent supporters, continue to stick and stay with us. And feel free to share your views here as well. It's a safe space. And we look forward to seeing you again. But, a great day with the 100 meters. Some top performances coming in, a few injury scares as well. But it's just track and field. These things do happen. Thank you for being here with us, and it's Ovi check it out. Back over to you, my co-host.
All right, fantastic, guys. And I know we have people in the chat. You haven't yet hit the like button. I'm not even seeing one like. Come on, come on. All right, so on that note, we're going to sign out. But let me tell you, later will be greater. So ensure that you hit the subscription button. All right, turn on your post notification bell so that you do not miss any updates when we go live. And as you can see, we go live different times because we have different supporters from different places and spaces in the world with different times. So we want to ensure that, we're able to give you a voice and a platform where you can share and get some information as well. All right, KJ, I see you like in there in the chat. All right, fantastic. So thank you so much, guys, and we'll see you later. Again, later will be greater. So we're just going to play some music and sign out of this one. Blessings and love, and see you guys soon in the next live.